Hey there. Before you close your eyes tonight, I want to share a story with you. A story that can shift the way you think, give your heart peace, and fill you with hope for tomorrow. Tonight, let's take a few minutes to recharge together and remind ourselves that strength is always closer than we think. You know, life has this way of throwing curveballs when we least expect them. Some days feel like mountains we can't climb, problems we can't solve, dreams that seem impossibly far away. But here's what I've learned, and what tonight's story will show you. Sometimes the answers we're desperately searching for are sitting right in front of us, in the most unexpected places. Every night, thousands of people around the world gather here to find a moment of peace, a spark of inspiration, a reminder that they're not alone in their struggles. You're part of that community now, and that means something beautiful. Together, we're creating a space where hope lives, where stories heal, and where tomorrow always holds promise. What part of your day today made you feel challenged? Write it in the comments. I want to know. Because tonight's story is about someone who felt exactly that way, sitting alone with his struggles until an unexpected encounter changed everything. Alex sat on the park bench, staring at the crumpled job rejection letter in his hands. 23 years old, fresh out of college, and already feeling like a failure. This was his 15th rejection in 2 months. Each, we regret to inform you, felt like a door slamming shut on his future. The evening sun cast long shadows across the park, and Alex watched families playing, couples walking hand in hand, everyone seemingly moving forward with purpose while he felt completely stuck. His savings were nearly gone, his student loans were mounting, and his parents' disappointed sighs echoed in his mind every time he came home empty-handed. "Mind if an old man sits here?" a gentle voice asked. Alex looked up to see a man in his 70s, wearing a worn but clean cardigan, carrying a small bag of breadcrumbs. His eyes held a warmth that made Alex nod without thinking. "Of course, sir." The elderly man settled down with a soft grunt and immediately began scattering breadcrumbs for the gathering pigeons. "They come here every evening, you know," he said, watching the birds with obvious delight. Rain or shine, they show up. Persistent little creatures. Alex managed a weak smile. Must be nice to have that kind of certainty about where your next meal is coming from. The old man chuckled. "I'm Henry, by the way, and you look like someone carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders." "Alex?" And yeah, something like that. He held up the rejection letter. "Just another door closing, I guess." Henry nodded thoughtfully, continuing to feed the pigeons. "You know, I've been coming to this park for 40 years. Started when I lost my job at the steel mill. I was 32, had 2 young kids, and felt like my world was ending." Alex turned to look at him properly for the first time. "What happened?" "Well, I sat right here on this bench, feeling sorry for myself, watching these same pigeons. And you know what I noticed? They never gave up. If one spot didn't have food, they'd move to another. If someone shooed them away, they'd circle back. They were relentless, but not in a desperate way, in a hopeful way." Henry paused, watching a particularly bold pigeon hop closer to his feet. "So I decided to be like them. I started showing up, everywhere. Every business, every job fair, every opportunity. Not desperately, but hopefully. And slowly, doors started opening." "But that was different," Alex said, frustration creeping into his voice. "The job market now is impossible. Everyone wants experience. But how do you get experience if no one will hire you? It's like being trapped in an endless loop." Henry smiled knowingly. "You sound exactly like my grandson. He's about your age, actually. computer programmer. Brilliant kid, but he spent 8 months getting rejected before landing his dream job at a tech startup. 8 months? Alex's eyes widened. 8 long months. And you know what he told me when he finally got hired? The interviewer said what impressed him most wasn't his technical skills, though they were good, but his persistence and attitude. The hiring manager had watched him apply, get rejected, improve his skills, and apply again. 3 times to the same company. Alex felt something stir in his chest. Not quite hope, but maybe the possibility of hope. How did he keep going? How did he not just give up? Henry reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small, weathered notebook. He started keeping track of what he learned from each rejection. Not just the technical feedback, but the soft skills, the interview techniques, even the company cultures. After a while, he wasn't just applying for jobs, he was building himself into the exact person companies wanted to hire. That's smart, Alex admitted. The thing is, Alex, and I hope you don't mind an old man sharing some hard-earned wisdom, but every no you've received wasn't a judgment of your worth. It was information, data. Each rejection is telling you something valuable about what you need to adjust, improve, or try differently. Alex looked down at the letter again, but this time, instead of seeing failure, he tried to see it as Henry suggested, as information. The company had mentioned they were looking for someone with more project management experience. Maybe that was something he could work on. There's something else, Henry continued, his voice taking on a more serious tone. The world has taught your generation to expect instant results. Social media, fast food, streaming everything immediately. But the best things in life, careers, relationships, dreams, they're all slow-cooked meals, not microwave dinners. A comfortable silence fell between them as they watched the pigeons. Alex found himself actually relaxing for the first time in weeks. Can I ask you something, Henry? How do you stay so optimistic? I mean, you lost your job. You've probably faced all kinds of setbacks. How do you keep that lightness? Henry's eyes twinkled. Because I've learned that every ending is also a beginning. When the steel mill closed, I thought my life was over. But it forced me to discover I was good with my hands in ways I never knew. I started doing carpentry work, then small home repairs. Eventually, I built a little handyman business that supported my family better than the mill ever did. And now I spend my retirement helping young folks fix up their first homes, teaching my grandkids how to build birdhouses, and sitting in parks sharing breadcrumbs and stories with people who need to hear them. He gestured around them. This isn't the life I planned, but it's a pretty good one. Alex felt tears prick his eyes. I'm scared, Henry. I'm scared I'm not good enough, that I'll never figure it out, that I'm already behind and I'll never catch up. Henry turned to face him fully. Alex, let me tell you something that took me 73 years to fully understand. You're not behind. You're exactly where you need to be, to learn what you need to learn. Every single person who seems to have it all figured out, they've got their own struggles, their own fears, their own moments of sitting on park benches wondering if they're enough. The difference between people who succeed and people who give up isn't talent or luck or even opportunity. It's the willingness to keep showing up, to keep believing that the next door might be the right one, and to treat each setback as setup for a comeback. As the sun began to set, Henry stood up, brushing crumbs from his hands. I come here every Tuesday and Friday at this time, if you'd like to talk again. Sometimes it helps to have someone remind you that you're stronger than you think you are. Alex stood too, and on impulse, hugged the older man. Thank you, Henry. Really. I think I needed to hear all of this more than I realized. We all need reminding sometimes. Henry smiled. Now, what's the first thing you're going to do differently tomorrow? Alex thought for a moment. I'm going to start that notebook. Track what I learned from each experience, not just the rejections, but everything. And maybe I'll look into some project management courses online. Now you're thinking like those pigeons, Henry laughed. Persistent, hopeful, always ready to try a new approach. As they parted ways, Alex felt something he hadn't felt in months. Excitement about tomorrow. Not because he was guaranteed success, but because he finally had a plan that felt like hope instead of desperation. Just like Alex learned from Henry, we must value the wisdom of those who walked the road before us. Their experience is the light that can save us from making the same mistakes. Sometimes, the guidance we need most comes from the most unexpected sources. A stranger on a park bench, a conversation we almost didn't have, a moment of vulnerability that opens us to receive exactly what our hearts needed to hear. Engagement questions. If you were Alex, facing rejection after rejection, what would you do to move forward? Would you have been open to Henry's advice, or would pride have gotten in the way? Which part of this story touched you the most? Was it Alex's vulnerability, Henry's wisdom, or that moment when everything shifted? Comment below and let me know. If this story resonated with you, if it gave you even a small shift in perspective, please hit that like button. Your likes help this message reach others who might be sitting on their own park bench tonight, needing to hear exactly this. Take a moment and think about today. No matter how hard it felt, tomorrow is another chance. Even a tiny step can turn your whole day around. Believe in the power of small actions. Alex's story reminds us that sometimes our greatest breakthroughs come disguised as our biggest breakdowns. When we're sitting in our own version of that park bench feeling defeated, overwhelmed, or lost, we forget that we're actually in the perfect position to receive exactly what we need. But here's the key. We have to be open to it. Henry didn't magically solve Alex's job problem. He didn't hand him a business card or make a phone call. What he did was far more powerful. He changed Alex's perspective. He helped him see rejections as redirections, setbacks as setups, and persistence as a choice rather than a burden. The beautiful truth is that there are Henrys all around us. Mentors, guides, and wisdom keepers who've walked similar paths and emerged with insights that could transform our journey. But we have to slow down enough to notice them, humble enough to listen to them, and brave enough to trust that maybe, just maybe, we don't have to figure everything out alone. Your challenges today, whatever they were, they're not evidence that you're failing. They're evidence that you're living, trying, putting yourself out there in ways that matter. And that takes tremendous courage. Every expert was once a beginner. Every success story started with someone feeling exactly like you feel right now, uncertain, maybe scared, but still showing up. The difference between those who create the life they want and those who settle for the life they get is often just the willingness to keep going when everything in them wants to stop. What is one small thing you can do tomorrow to feel stronger and more hopeful? Maybe it's starting your own notebook like Alex, reaching out to a mentor, or simply showing up with a different mindset. Whatever challenge you shared with me at the beginning of tonight's video, how might you approach it tomorrow with Alex and Henry's wisdom in mind? If this story gave you even a little spark of hope, share it with a friend, hit the like button, and come back tomorrow. We'll check in on today's story and see how it unfolded. You won't want to miss it. Subscribe to Dream Fuel Stories so every night you can end your day inspired. You know what's amazing? Alex's story didn't end when he left that park bench. The real magic happened in the days and weeks that followed, when he started applying Henry's wisdom to his daily life. Tomorrow night, I'll share what happened when Alex implemented that notebook system, how it changed not just his job search, but his entire approach to challenges. We'll explore how that one conversation rippled out into opportunities he never could have imagined, and how a chance encounter with a stranger became the turning point that changed everything. But here's what I love most about tomorrow's continuation. It's not just about Alex finding a job. It's about him discovering something far more valuable. The unshakable confidence that comes from knowing you can handle whatever life throws your way. Every night, we gather here as a community of dreamers, believers, and hope seekers. You're not just watching these stories, you're part of them. Your comments, your shares, your decision to show up here night after night creates ripples of inspiration that reach people around the world who desperately need to know they're not alone. Sweet dreams tonight. And remember, tomorrow is always another chance to begin again. Do you have your own story of courage or hope? Maybe you've been the Alex in someone's life, or perhaps you've been blessed to meet your own Henry. Share it in the comments. We might feature it in our next video. Before you go to sleep tonight, if this story touched your heart, if it shifted something inside you, please hit that like button and drop a comment below. Your engagement doesn't just help the algorithm, it tells me that these stories matter, that they're making a difference in real lives. And that's what keeps me coming back here every night to share hope with all of you.